something else. What can you tell me about Elzie Floyd that I haven't already read?
Oh, Lord, mercy. It'd take me all day and all night to tell you all about Elzie Floyd. Elzie Floyd is, you see, Elzie Floyd's mother was a shipman. His mother was a first cousin to my daddy. So I was related to Elzie.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. You know that key that he always carried?
Yeah.
And the harmonica about that long
Yeah.
that he had in his pocket? Those are out at the community college.
Yeah.
They're in a little room
Really?
that they have set aside for my books and things. And they're in a locked cabinet where you can look through the glass and see them. But to me, they were real keepsakes. His sister brought them to me after he died.
Well,
Tell me a good story about Elzie that I haven't already written.
well, you know, I used to, me and Elsie played together a lot. And he was a person that was the hardest man to fool in any kind of way that I've ever known, whether he's blind or whether he is blind. Now I know that there's people today, and when you tell them some of the things that Elzie Floyd done, they wouldn't believe you. They'd say,
I've been
that's
asked how much of
impossible.
it I made up.
But they think you're making up this stuff. But now I'll tell you
If
something.
you knew him, you know you're not.
How in this world did Elzie Floyd could get in your car and ride down the road and didn't make no difference where you went? He could tell you exactly where he wanted out at. How could he do that? I don't know. That's beyond me. But he could do it.
I picked him up on Canoga Road one day, where Trail Farm Road turns off, put him out at the Greenville Highway, and he told me who was living in the houses along that
Yeah.
road and who built them.
Well, now I'll tell you something, what he done one time. And see, his dad and his mom lived at that Union Bleachery down in South Carolina, Greenville, at one time, his daddy did. And Elzie wanted to go down there, and of course me and my Uncle Curtis Hosteen, we took Elzie down there. And you know, he guided us down there in Greenville right straight to the house.
It's uncanny.
And how he know that and how he could do it, I don't know. That's beyond me. But I'll tell you something else about Elzie. We used to play for dances. You know, people danced a lot back then. Square dancing.
Yeah.
And we went down to Lynn. It's called Lynn. That's out in Tron down there. Close to Tron or in Tron. A little old place called Lynn out there. We went out there one time to play for dancing is a house. It wasn't a big hall or nothing. And Elzie always had to have a little help on his drinking, you know, and a little shot or something to pep him up.
Yeah.
And he told me, he said, let's go down, get out and go down here. And we went down, and back then they had constables in these old towns that have constable in it.
Yeah.
They'd follow you around and arrest you and one thing and another. Me and Elsie went out down the road and got us a little snort out of his bottle, yeah. And we come back up to the house, and we got almost up that. Elsie'd always hold on to you, you know, when you're walking like that. And we got back up almost to the house. Well, this little old constable run up and says, "You got so drunk you have to lead him?" And I said, "No, sir." I says, "This man's blind." I says, "He just hangs on to you." And he didn't say no more. We went on in the house, when we got in the house in there, well, of course we got in there and started playing music. You know, they was playing that guitar. Man, I'm telling you what. And that constable kept watching, you know. And whenever they kind of got through playing there, and that constable took his hat off, well, now we'll forget this, took his hat off, and he got out in the middle of that floor, and he told him, he says, gentlemen, he says, ladies and gentlemen, he says, this man over here is a blind man. And says, I don't guess he has any way of making money. He said, let's take up a little collection for him. And he got out there and made old Elsie up a bunch of money. I don't know how much. Elsie left there with a pocket full of money, and they was about to put him in jail. Thinking he's drunk, you know, I would have put his tail whooping. Oh, but that was the truth. I mean, they don't tell about that.
What instrument were you playing then?
Huh?
What instrument did you play then?
I played a guitar,
Okay.
slumming around on it. There wasn't much of a guitar.
And what instrument did Elsie play?
He could play anything.
Elzie Floyd play anything, have
That's what
strings
Dad
on
said.
it, or piano. And you know, he was, another thing about him, he would tune pianos.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Now, there's a lot of people would think he couldn't tune a piano, but I'm going to tell you something. The hearing that he had, as sharp, as keen as it was, it's out of this world. He could tune a piano better than anybody else because he had the keenest.
Perfect pitch. Perfect.
Yeah, that pitch had to be right, you know.
Well, tell me, you said that he held on to you when he walked. If he'd walk from Pinnacle into town.
I know it.
Without
But
holding on.
if you was with him walking, he'd hold on.
Oh,
But he didn't have to, but I know he went back there to Pinnacle. Now, he lived in that log cabin back there one time, you know. He'd go back there and stay several days by himself.
Yeah.
And,
I thought he lived up there after his parents died. Did he stay on up there?
I don't know how long he stayed there. He'd go up there and stay a week at a time sometime, but he just stayed around different places. And he'd come to our house. My brother, Morris, he'd come up there sometimes, stay a week, you know. He'd think nothing about it. My Uncle Phil King down there, when he lived down there at the old Ankle place, it was owned by the Smythe. Well, he'd go up there and stay sometimes for 2 or 3 weeks on Phil. Of course, Uncle Phil liked it, you know.
I'm trying to think what, Phil was short and kind of stocky, wasn't he?
Yeah, he sure
Did
was.
he have a beard? I don't remember.
I don't think he had a beard.
Uh-huh.
I don't think he was really.
I just vaguely remember it.
But Elsie, he go around and stay with different people like that.
Well, I've been asked how much of what I wrote about Elsie is true.
Well, now,
I've had people call me and say they wanted to tell me something about him.
well,
I would believe it because I knew him.
everybody knew Elsie about it around, you know. But I had some pretty close relationship for Elsie, you know, over the years. And I know he had a little old cook stove, and he wanted to take it back there and put it up in that cabin, that log cabin on Pinnacle back there. And you know, there wasn't no road over there to that. You go over to James Wild Perry's place, and then go around that over road over there, and then you'd have to go through the woods to get that cabin where you're at. You know, me and Grover Peace and Kurt Osteen carried that doggone stove through the woods over to Elsie's cabin, put it in there for him to cook on. And that being anything I ever seen, but Elsie knowed all. You couldn't lose him.
No, you couldn't lose him. He'd tell other people how to get back out to the road.
Well, I'll tell you something else he could do, and there ain't nobody to believe it. You had to see it and be there to know it was the truth. You go out, me and him went out, and put a target up on a tree, and he'd walk off out there and shoot at it. Target practice. And he'd feel around that sign and walk off out there and shoot and hit that sign. I'm telling you what the truth is. I was
Shooting what? A pistol? Handgun?
yeah, old handgun pistol.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be afraid for him to shoot me.
Well, and the truth, he sure hit you.
He'd hit you. And he told me this is another thing he did, and I know he did it, because this old farmer road, it sprung off my granddad's shop and went down through the Kenmure down there. It was just an old farmer road.
Why did they call it a farmer road?
Because old Hal Farmer's one there.
Oh, okay.
The farmer
I wanted to
Woodfield.
Yeah.
The guy at Woodfield, he wanted his name after farmer road.
Farmer, yeah.
And that's the wagoners. They haul cross ties and everything else up and down that road. Mountain people, they used it.
Yeah.
It was a useful thing. But anyhow, he was going. He'd been up on the mountain and he was going down that old farmer road. And he told me, this is what he told me. He said that he got down there pretty close to the rail pen gap that you hear about. And he said there's a rattlesnake in the road.
Oh.
And he said that snake sung, and he said every time he'd move he'd sing. And he said he knowed it was in the road. And he knowed if he tried to get around it, it might bite him. But if I'd have had my gun, he said I'd have got him.
Oh my
But
goodness.
he didn't have no gun, and he said he turned around and went back and went out in the mail carrier road and come out there. He said he walked out for to keep placing this. He said he's afraid to go by. He said
Why,
he's afraid
sure.
every time he moved.
Yeah.
That was a wise decision.
And that's the only time I ever know Elsie to get baffled. He couldn't take that. He had to go the other way.
Well, what was the horse story? You told me the horse story. That
Oh, yeah,
barred
yeah.
the
Oh,
horse.
that horse story.
That's
That's
pretty
something.
good.
You've heard that one already.
You tell it.
Did you hear it?
Yeah. I don't know who told me, but yeah, tell me again, because I.
Well, my uncle Phil King, he lived up there in that back there at the old Michael place. That was next to, there's a Fisher house, and then the Johnson house, and then that old house where my uncle lived up there. And then across the road was a Cleveland place, you know, and that was where the Albert Justice lived. He was a caretaker. Albert was a caretaker there. He had a horse, and I don't know, Elsie, I reckon Elsie decided he wanted some medicine, and he had to go catty to get it. And he got that, he got out and decided he'd get Albert's horse and ride it to Cathead. And it's at night time. He went in there and got old Albert's horse. He rode that thing all the way to Cathead. Got whatever he went after and come home. And it was just about almost daylight. Old Albert got up and went out to feed his horse. His horse was gone. He wasn't there. And he said, Albert thought somebody had stole his horse. So he got, Hambone Ballinger was a sheriff then. You remember Hambone?
I remember the name.
Yeah, Hambone Ballinger was a sheriff. Hambone come running out there. Albert come over there. I was up at the Smythe place. At that time, Albert come over and told my uncle that somebody stole his horse. Called Hambone. And they was going to try to find out who stole the horse, and he came out. And him and Albert got out of raiding around and hunting the horse, and Elsie rode the horse and put it back in the barn. Got out and went up to my uncle's and went to bed. And
I love that.
and they finally come back, the sheriff, Albert, they come back out there and the old horse is in the barn. They couldn't figure that out. They said somebody had that horse. And I don't know, they got a little lead from somebody that had seen Elsie cross the road up there. They thought Elsie had something to do with that horse. And Ammo said, well, we'll just go up there and we'll find out. And up there, my uncle's outside and asked, said, Mr. King, says, is Elsie Floyd up here? He said, yeah, he's in there in the bed. Albone said, well, says, we've got to talk to him. Well, he said, I guess maybe he may be awake. But you can talk to him if you want to. So he went up there and he went in there. And the sheriff went in there and asked Elsie, said, Elsie? Says, have you seen Albert Justice's horse? Elsie said, well, Sheriff, he said, I ain't never seen a horse.
Isn't that great?
And he did.
Man's blind as could be. He had never seen a horse.
Oh, that's
I thought that
priceless.
was pretty good. Elsie laughed about that on TV.
Yeah, I bet he did. Oh, that's
But he was one rode the horse.
Oh,
Yeah, I said, I'll tell you.